Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my November wrap up. Yes, I read 15 books. Let's get started. I'll link the timestamp in the description box down below. So let's just get into the book. First book that I read was a classic and is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is a classic. I almost DNF'd it, but then I decided to keep on. And of course, this book is about gay people in the 1800s. This story is so good. It's one of my favorite classics now. There were so many good quotes in this. One of my favorites is, there are only two kinds of people who are fascinating: people who know absolutely everything and people who know absolutely nothing. This is, a story about vanity, a story about good versus evil. I mean, it's so much in here. Dorian, he starts very innocent, and then this one character here in particular that just read it for yourself. I recommend it. Just, don't give up. I know at the beginning I was very annoyed the way they refer to women. Love it. I'll definitely read it again, probably next year. Definitely. We'll give it another go. Now, the next book that I read was Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is a memoir. The author tells us her story when she was raped, and we get her story on everything from the beginning to the end, the trials, everything that she went through, just the way she was treated as a rape victim. I was just like, this was definitely a 5-star read for me. Definitely recommend it. I don't want to say too much. Just go read it. Oh, in case I didn't say anything, this was a 5-star read. This is a 5-star read. And now we go into Near the Bone by Christina Henry. Sadly, I gave this 2 stars. She's one of my favorite authors. This is the 6th book that I read from her. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting something very creepy. And even though something creepy was happening, there was more to the story that I was like, okay, is this a horror or is this something else, right? So that's why I ended up giving it 2 stars. Not my favorite book of hers. It was still good, except for the other things that were, put in here that was not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting horror, but 2 stars. Sadly, will I continue buying her books, collecting her books, and reading them? Hell yes. Yes, yes, yes. Then the next book that I read is a Splintered by Alex E. Harrow. This is a short story and it's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. So just to give you a little bit on it and not to give you a lot, this is the first book in the Fracture Fables. I don't know how many books are going to be. I bought this because it's a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and also the cover is just beautiful. I gave this 4 stars. So we follow Xenia. She has an affinity to Sleeping Beauty, and on her 27th birthday, I think it was her 22nd birthday, she has a rare genetic disease that she's supposed to die. She's not supposed to live past her 20th birthday, but she has lived onto 22. Anyways, the night of her birthday, her 22nd birthday, her best friend throws her a party and she pricks her finger with the spindle of the spinning wheel, and then she gets transported into another world. And that's when the Sleeping Beauty thing comes in. The writing was beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say. As you can see, it's very short. It's like 100 and something, less than 150 pages. It's like 119 pages. So that's all I'm gonna say about this book. Read it. The next book that I read is Half a King by Joe Abercrombie, and this is the first book into the Shattered Sea trilogy. This is a YA trilogy. I picked this one up because I read The Blade Itself, the first book in the First Law trilogy that he has, but I only read that first book. I never picked up the rest of the books, so then I decided to go back and start with the YA books and work myself up to the last trilogy of the Age of Madness. The last book just came out, so I'm working my way up to that last trilogy. This one, I gave it 5 stars. It's a favorite. I cannot wait to jump into book 2 because it is amazing. So we followed, what's his name? Prince Jarvie. He is a disabled protagonist, can only use one hand. People look down on him. He doesn't want the throne. Then something happens, and I don't want to give too much for the plot. I love this book. I love the characters. It's really fast-paced. There's a lot happening, so if you want a fast-paced story, you're gonna love this. Cannot wait to jump into book 2. Next book that I read is Tomei by Junji Ito. This thing was weird as So we have Tommy. She's the female fatale. She has long black hair. She's supposed to be beautiful, and she has a beauty mark under her left eye. She can seduce nearly any man and drive them to murder as well, even though the victim is often herself. And that happened in in every chapter. She is the victim, but there's other victims involved, and this man, they just go bananas and they just want to possess her, and it's just weird. I think I gave this one 4 stars. Another graphic novel that I read, well, that was a manga. This one is a graphic novel that, oh my god, I absolutely love. Favorite of the year, Hades and Persephone. I'm sure you guys know what I'm going to say, what it is, the book. I saw this on Instagram all over the place, and oh my god, everybody's talking about it. And then I go to the store, the girl is telling me, the sales rep is telling me, you know, about the book and giving me the story, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get it, and I'm glad that I did. Hades and Persephone, the artwork is just amazing, and it's beautiful. I don't want to show you too much, but if you guys can see that. So I gave it 5 stars. Amazing. I don't want to say too much, of course, but it's one of my favorites. So yeah, I'm just going to start gushing about this. Just if you haven't read it yet, pick it up. Quick read, beautiful, amazing. Then the next book that I read was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia. Hibbert. I believe this was a gift. I was given this by Lily. I think she sent this to me, I'm not sure, but anyways, I read it. I'm glad that I did. I believe this is a trilogy about 3 sisters, and they all have their own stories. So I gave this one, I believe, 4 or 5 stars. Loved it. Yeah. And then the last book that I read was There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This is a dark romance. Wow. When I first started reading this, I was loving it. So loving it. My problem, I believe I gave it 4.5 stars. My problem was that once I put it down, I just didn't care to pick it up. And the thing is, like, if I would have had an audiobook, I would have continued on, and it would have been a 5 stars read. When I first started reading it, it was slow. I was struggling with it, and then it started picking up. These 2 guys, they both wrong, but one is worse than the other. So there's this girl named Mara. She's an artist. They're all artists. Cole wants her. He kind of wants to hurt her, but like he wants to protect her. And then the other guy, Sean, he wants to kill her. So, you know, there's romance in here. There was some scene that was like, oh wow, she's bad, she's badass. So yeah, this is a duology. There Are No Saints, I believe that's what it's called. There Are No Saints. I did enjoy it. 4.5 stars. I wish I had the audiobook. I'll probably reread it. If we ever get an audiobook, I'll probably reread it and then pick up book 2. But I mean, I do want to know what happens in the next book. Now, the next books that I'm going to talk about were audiobooks, and the first one is a historical romance, and is Never Fall for Your Fiancé. It's the first book in the Merriwell Sisters by Virginia Heath, and this is about it is a rom-com, and this is about an earl that he is looking to hire a fiance because he told his mother he was engaged to a lady so his mother can get off his back. And then things starts happening. The mother comes to town. The fiance, the so-called fiance, needs to meet the mother, and then things starts happening, and it was funny at times. There were some parts that were really annoying. I gave this 3.5. Definitely check it out if you're looking for rom-com historical book. The next book is Your Dad Will Do, and this one is by Katee Robert. And this is the first book in A Touch of Taboo. This is about a girl that she has a dark secret. She's been fantasizing about her fiance, her boyfriend's, I think it's, yes, her fiance's father. She had a crush on him, and she's been, you know, having some thoughts about him. So anyways, they break up because the fiance was cheating on her. I think cheated on her a few times. So in order to get back at him, she goes to the house and starts to seduce, and that's all I'm gonna say. So smutty, good. Okay, let's move on. The next one I listened to was The Hating Game because of the movie. I had read this book a few years back. I had to listen to it because I packed my book. So anyways, you know about The Hating Game. The Hating Game is by Sally Thorne. I read this back in 2018, so this was a reread for me. Anyways, we have Lucy and Josh. They work together due to our merger, and then they both work under the same CEO. Ito. So they are both due for a promotion. They both want the same position. They start competing, the banter, the romance, everything was so good. I gave this 4 stars, and that's all I'm gonna say. Plus, if you don't know, there is a movie. I believe the movie's out already or is coming out soon, not sure, but read the book, then watch the movie. Okay, next book is The Bastard's Betrayal by Katee Robert, and this is the first book in the Scandalous Science. I believe I'm saying that right. If not, forgive me. This is a spin-off story of the O'Malley's series with the Romanovs. It was really good. I'm sure some things went off over my head because I haven't read that series. Now I want to read it, and I will reread this one just to see what I missed or not. I haven't read the series, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I gave this one 5 stars. I said it was a great start to a new series. To be honest, I'm sure some things went over my head since I haven't read the O'Malley series, but I still really love the story. So that's all I can say. It's a spin-off. If you haven't read it, look into it. I don't know. I mean, I like Katee Roberts' books, so to me, to go back and read a series that is already done is awesome, because there's nothing better than starting a series that is already finished and you don't have to wait another year to try to remember what happened in the previous book. So I think I'm going to give it a go and then come back to this one and see, and definitely we'll have a review later on to see. But I absolutely love this story for what I got. If I missed something, I don't know. I'm sure while I was reading, I was feeling that I was missing something, like the backstory. I was like, I wonder what that is. But it was really good. Still, I was intrigued. I was able to follow the story, so it was good. So the next book that I listened to was All of Us Villains, and it's the first book in All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody. I have read another book by her. I forgot the name, but I really enjoyed it, so I decided to, since I didn't have the book, I wanted to give this one a try. So what happened is, in every generation, at the coming of the blood moon, 7 families each name a champion to compete in a tournament to death, and the winner gets, the family that wins gets the power of magic in this world. I gave this one 3 stars. I said on Goodreads, very slow start, almost gave up on it. Story picked up on second half of the book. It's very slow at the beginning, and then the second half of the book was where things started to happen with the competition and the magic. That's when it started to get good. But then, you know, you read in a book and it takes you 50%. It takes 50% of it for you to get into the story. It wasn't bad. I really did like the second half of the story. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the second book. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series, if it's a duology, a trilogy. So far, there's only 2 books, and there's no title for the second book that is supposed to come out next year. So yeah. And one book that I started reading in November but I haven't finished is Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I'm hoping to finish this in the month of December. If not, then January. I don't know. I'm taking my sweet time with it. I started this and I'm annotating every little thing because I want to remember. The next book comes out next year, and even though I can remember things from the book, I want to make sure that I take notes. Still reading it. I haven't finished it, but I figure let me just mention it so you guys know what I'm currently reading right now besides my December reads. My December TBR is also up in the channel. So these are all the books. Let me just make sure I did not miss anything. No, I think I did them all. So yeah, let me know if you have read any of these books. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.